Welcome to the show No Instructions, where we meet with founders and interview them about starting and growing their businesses. I'm your host, Chad Ingram, three-time founder and CEO at Distro. Distro is a platform to help businesses build teams by breaking down borders around the world. Let's go ahead and get started with today's guest and see how they built their business. Welcome to the show No Instructions. Today I've got Bubba Page here from Influence.vc. Happy to have you on the show today.
Heck yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, cool. So boy, you got good energy right now. And you came in saying you were a little tired.
No way, I'm on it. Today is like, we're just moving. Let's go.
Well, you have an adventure that you're doing tonight. It sounds
I
like
do, yeah. I'm taking, so myself and 11 children, 14 years and younger. The youngest will be 3.5, my 3.5-year-old twins. 11 children and I.
You have twins too?
I have twins, yeah, at the very end.
Know that.
Boy, girl, twins. So we have 4 boys, 4 girls. So 8 of my own children are coming and then 3 of their friends. And I'm taking them all to our cabin in Huntsville. And it is dumping snow right now. And as I was explaining, we're going to get to the parking lot because you can't drive all the way in because there's a dirt road and it's covered in snow.
Non-snowy time you could, right?
Oh, yeah. Just drive all the way in, no problem. But so we have to get into my side-by-side with tracks. Yeah. And take them into the cabin. And anyway, it's going to be complicated with 12 of us making this trip, but it's going to be awesome. I'm stoked.
Bring a satellite phone and call us.
Yeah. I've got Wi-Fi. I've got Wi-Fi up there, so I can do, and there's luckily there's a snowmobile rental place right at the parking lot. Cool. So it's way up in Huntsville by Monte Cristo. If anybody's been there, it's like the snowmobile mecca of Utah. And so if I've ever run into problems, like I can, they're there usually.
How bad was it last year?
Oh my gosh!
Snow in the cabin. Did it damage anything?
Yes, we had some damage. So we've already had to do some renovations because of it. Yeah. I set up these ice warming lines or whatever on the roof. Yep. But I had to do it under the roof line because the ice would just rip it off. We had literally not just snow, but on top of the roof, we had ice buildup of 2 feet thick, 24 inches of pure ice. Think about the weight.
For those not in Utah, last year was like epic proportions of snow for like 4 decades, right? Like since the 80s, it hadn't snowed that much. And cabins were literally, like you couldn't see them if you were looking out a valley, a neighborhood. Insane. Like they were buried under like 60 plus feet of snow. It
was unbelievable. And so for us, it was so much fun, but yes, an insane amount of snow. If anybody wants to check out the cabin, go to Instagram, Aspen Hill Lodge Co. Awesome. Is how you can find it. You can see it was an old dude ranch. So it has 22 bathrooms and 20 bedrooms.
This is perfect.
Oh yeah, so this is not a cabin. This is like a straight up lodge motel.
It's awesome.
It even has doors facing on the outside, so it's legit motel. So each room has their own fireplace, their own bathroom, 2 queen beds. Purple sponsored us, so we got all new mattresses in there. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's been so much fun. We've hosted a few retreats. Yeah, we've done some reunions, and we just use it primarily. We haven't rented it out to the outside world. Maybe someday.
So tell us, before we get into the full story, give us like Twitter style what Influence VC is. Yeah. Before we kind of get into how you got there eventually.
140 characters.
Yeah.
Influence.vc is a venture capital syndicate. Mm-hmm. So we're not a fund. Yeah. But we invest on a deal by deal basis, me personally, and then I invite my network to invest with me. Yeah. Primarily, we're not leading any deal. We follow along other venture capital funds. And the hope is that we can provide a strategic level of investment, meaning I bring my expertise of working with influencers, a decade in B2B, tech that I built and sold my company in that industry, and help in that way. Check sizes are usually between $250 and $750 on average, based on the interest of the syndicate. Anybody can join the syndicate and see the deal flow, but you have to be an accredited investor to actually invest in these businesses.
Awesome.
And we do invest outside of Utah. It's not just Utah based, but that's obviously the network. Comes from Utah, Techstars, my San Francisco Bay Area upbringing. Yep.
And are you from California?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Grew up in the Bay Area.
Well, I grew up in LA, so they're like two different states.
They're completely different.
Totally different.
They actually had a proposal to split California.
I know. They probably should have done it.
I honestly would have made sense.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go into it. Where did your story start?
Okay. So let's just start at the beginning, and I'll be fast. I'll try to be very fast. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and it makes sense for me to say that because I think as a youngest child, there's some unique pieces about me, good and bad, that have come to play. So youngest child of 4. I have a sister I'm super close with, and my 2 older brothers. I idolize my oldest brother, and born here in Utah, but primarily raised in San Francisco.
Right.
From first grade to my junior year of high school. And then my family moved to Arizona. So I've got some Arizona ties. I only spent a year there, but I
was that for like parents' work or something that caused
Dad's work. He started the 8th podiatry school in the country.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of cool.
So he was a doctor or more on the business side?
He was a podiatrist first, a doctor's podiatrist, foot doctor, but got into the educational side of the world.
Yeah.
Early on in his career. And he actually was a second-hand in command in the San Francisco school. Hence, that's why we're there.
Right.
And then was invited to start the 8th in Arizona.
Very cool.
So he did that in Phoenix. Then went to BYU. Go Cougs. I bleed blue. I love everybody else, but I do bleed blue.
Yeah.
And ended up serving a mission, a Mormon mission, LDS mission in Brazil.
Oh, cool.
And this is part of the story.
How's your Portuguese? Still okay?
I've been Duolingoing it. I'm 77 days straight. But man, it's sad. I've lost a lot of it. But
have you been back to visit?
No.
You got to go.
I've got to go.
So I went I was in Colombia.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I've gone back a few times, and it's amazing how it kind of like clicks in. It's like you get back into it, and like the jerga, what's that word in English? Like the
I love that.
It's like you know that happens to you too. It's like the the jargon, the local terms or whatever. It comes back to.
And in Portuguese, it would be called the sotaque.
Yeah, there you go.
Like some of the accents or slang would come in there. So Brazil, I absolutely love my experience, and that also is a part of my story because I think when you're pitching or selling religion, and I hate to use that word because it's much deeper than just selling.
But it makes sense to,
But to everybody else, like you're out there knocking doors, you're talking to people all day cold on the street, and you get rejected 100 times a day. Honestly, part of the Utah ecosystem has been built on the foundation of LDS missionaries, of Mormon missionaries, because of the, language skills, of the entrepreneurial skills, of the sales skills coming from those missions. I truly believe it's one of the secret sauces.
Work ethic, right? Like,
and you're just straight up going.
Working
as
all
an
day.
18 or 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, totally.
You become an adult real fast when you're out there on your own, figuring it out. Anyway, I think we can have a whole podcast on why Utah has just exploded in the last decade.
Right.
With entrepreneurship and all that stuff. So mission, and then I came back to BYU, was a communications major, business minor. Don't think I ever finished the minor. No, I think I did. Okay. Anyway, got married, met my wife there, Jordan.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
Before we get to that, why, how were you thinking about that? If your dad, would you call your dad a true entrepreneur?
Absolutely not.
Okay, interesting.
No, I'm the total black sheep of my family.
Okay, that's perfect. So, what did your siblings do for work?
Yeah, so my oldest brother's a doctor, so he followed his suit.
Okay.
He didn't become a podiatrist, but so he's a doctor and doing great. He's an awesome doctor. My next brother is an attorney.
There you go.
So he went the legal route and is fantastic. He went the business legal route. So in-house counsel
is an accountant.
My sister married a dentist.
Okay.
And she's more business oriented, but she married a dentist. So they're all very structured, very, set. And then here I am, this youngest child, black sheep, and I am in college and I get invited. I didn't start the company, but I got invited to join this company called Seat Ability.
Interesting.
We competed in the entrepreneurship organizations. All that we brought in chairs from Taiwan, literal chairs with bungee cords on them that snapped you in the butt if they broke. It was hilarious.
Seat Ability.
Seat Ability. Isn't that a great name? We thought we were pretty creative. And so I joined with 5 other partners in this startup. And that was my first entrance into entrepreneurship. I literally didn't know what it was.
Were you looking for it,
No.
or did it find you?
It totally found me. They knew me, the guys who had started the business, because I was selling season passes to the Canyon Ski Resort as a freshman, and I sold the heck out of them. I had sold more than anybody had sold as a season pass rep. So I got to snowboard for free, and
that is cool.
Won a new snow. Anyway, they invited me to come in and help run the sales. And I was like, this is awesome. But I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was. And when I went to my family, they're like, what the heck are you doing? You're going to risk your life on this startup? And then I asked my parents for a loan. They gave me $5,000 as a loan so that I could invest in this startup as like my part of my sweat equity.
How did they respond to that?
Honestly, they just like, we'll give you a donation. We're never going to see this back. Right. And I'm shocked they did it, but I told them like, no, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to pay you back with interest. Like, this is legit. I'm going for it. Well, so I spent 2 years, blood, sweat, and tears, didn't get a single paycheck the entire 2 years. Wow. Right. But I was able to travel the country going to like 20 something trade shows as a 21, 22-year-old. Like, it was such an incredible life experience. Like, if you are, and I've done this on a different podcast where if you're a student, I looked at camera and I'm like, you're a student, start something now. Because people love helping students as entrepreneurs. Once you're graduated and you're like a real adult, people are like, whoa, you're trying to sell me something. As a student, they're like, tell me all about it.
It's true.
Can I be a customer? I want to help you.
True.
And so as a student entrepreneur, there were so many resources available. There are so many mentors and advisors, and the college wants to help you. You can do competitions for free. You can earn money, win money, all this stuff. Huge advantage to start a business as a student. And guess what? If you fail, who cares?
Yeah. Right.
You're a student. It doesn't even matter.
Life ahead of you.
Yes. Most likely you're not married. Most likely you don't have a mortgage. Most likely you don't have debt, maybe school debt. But like, anyway, I'm like a big fan of students becoming entrepreneurs.
At what point did you meet Jordan, your wife? So
we met when I was 22. If I'm doing the math right, we got married at 23. I was 23. She was 21.
Nice. Gotta
love the BYU Utah like marriage ages, right?
Totally.
And this was 16 years ago. But so we met through a mutual friend, and both of us put each other in friend zone. She was too young for me.
Yeah.
I was too short for her. Like literally just immediately like,
you're out.
But we were super friendly, like overly flirtatious with each other. And it was so funny. One of the times as friends, we were walking through BYU campus, college campus, and she wanted to see who knew more people on our walk from one class to our, where we're going to have lunch and just meet with our friends. And I was like, heck yeah, let's compete. Let's do this. I hate to say it, babe, love you. But I crushed it. I just was like, hey, what's that? And like, just knew so many people. Now I had an advantage. I had been there a couple of more years than she had.
It's ironic for those that don't know, because Jordan, your wife, is very famous.
Oh, she's way more famous than I'll ever be, right? But at the time in college, I did know more people. And so she was very impressed. That was like one of the things where she's like, whoa, like somebody actually knows more people than I do.
This guy's important. I got this. Like, I'm going to take him a little bit more seriously.
Well, we ended up staying friends for like over a year before anything happened. And she ended up inviting me to go to the Price is Right car trip with a group. It wasn't just me. It was like a whole group of people.
So as your friends, I mean, you still must have had some feelings for her,
just super flirtatious with each other.
But there was no thought to you like that,
none,
that this would be a possibility.
None at all.
Really?
In that moment, none. And to prove it, we went to this Price is Right road trip, and my roommate and I took 2 other girls in our car. She went with some other dudes and girls, and we met up with, I can't remember how many, 10 or 11 or 12 or something. And she got picked to go on the Price is Right with Bob Barker. She ended up winning luggage and stuff. It's so funny.
That was filmed in LA, right?
Yes. So we drove from Utah all the way down. I ended up staying with these other girls that I was with. Anyway, we have pictures of us on this road trip, but we're on like complete opposite ends of the group. Like literally hardly any. And we were very friendly, but not in any way. It wasn't until we kept seeing each other, hanging out with mutual friends. She ended up going to India on a humanitarian trip. And one of our daughters is actually named after a Priyanka, which is a common Indian name. We named her Priya as like for short. She spent this time in India, humanitarian, helping leprosy colonies.
Wow.
And had a phenomenal experience. Well, before she left, we connected at just whatever college party. And something happened where it was like, she said, hey, give me a ring later or something like that. Did I say that? Did she say, oh crap, now I can't remember. Anyway.
You need to call her right now and ask her.
I need to call her right now. For whatever reason, I took it as something went in my brain. Like I joked about getting her a ring, or she joked about getting her a ring because she said, give me a ring later or whatever.
Oh,
but it was like, give me a ring.
Yeah.
And I was like, give me a ring. For whatever reason, something changed in my mind.
Were you dating anybody else?
Yes, I was actively dating someone else.
Yeah.
Like dating somebody else.
Yeah.
At the time. So while she's away, I go to my, like a family reunion or something, get it in Lake Tahoe. And I'm telling my family about the girl I'm dating. And this is probably way too much detail, but anyway.
No, it's good.
But as I'm telling them about this girl I was dating, her name was Sarah at the time, whatever, I was like, you know what? I think actually I'm going to totally take this girl Jordan out when I get back. And I'd like already started to shut down my feelings for this other girl. And for somehow it started opening up for Jordan.
Did it have anything to do that she was gone all of a sudden?
I don't know.
Yeah.
She says she thinks because she was doing this humanitarian trip that I was like, oh, she has more substance now. I don't believe that was the case. Yeah. But for whatever reason, I'm sure God was like, hey, like switch your friend mode to maybe being interested mode. Yeah. And so anyway, we stayed in contact like on Facebook because that was like the thing back then.
Oh, definitely.
As college students. And it was only college students allowed on Facebook at the time. That dates us.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
That dates us, right? 40 this year. It's like makes me feel so old. And anyway, so I like told my whole family I'm going to take this girl out when I get back.
Yeah.
And so when I did start taking her out, they were like, oh my gosh, this is the girl you told us about. Well, Jordan was very much so confused because we were way friend zoned. And when I started taking her out individually, she's like, whoa, what's going on? And she was not into it. Because she had put me in friend zone and I had already like switched to wait, well, I'm going to pursue this. Right. Anyway, it took quite a bit of convincing.
So it wasn't so obvious.
No, it was not. And at first she's in her story, she talks about like, whoa, friend zone. Like don't start taking me out individually because it either goes somewhere or it doesn't. And then we won't be friends anymore.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to do that. We have a great friendship. Let's not ruin it. And for me, it was like, of course I want to date one of my, who became my best friend.
Totally.
Anyway, luckily my missionary sales skills came into play and I was able to show her why I was such a catch. How long
did you guys date?
So we knew each other for a year and then we dated. I mean, it really went pretty fast. We only dated for like a few months before it was like, whoa. This is serious.
Well, you already knew each other for
we knew each other for a whole year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the normal BYU story of like meet and get married in 6 months.
Yeah.
But we essentially knew each other for a year and then did get married
pretty quick,
6-ish months after.
Yeah.
So
in this
a year
culture,
and a half,
not that abnormal.
Yeah, a year and a half was the story, and then it was just like so much fun.
What was she doing at the time? Like, was she
so she and I both, full-time student, both of us full-time students, but we were able to walk. Technically we didn't graduate for like another year, but like we walked with one class left each and got married that same week that we walked in 2007.
That's cool.
Oh, and no, we didn't even get our degrees until like 2009 because it took us that long to finish the online class or whatever.
Right.
And then she ended up going and working with at-risk youth, teenagers that were struggling.
So that was her job. Also always a really good person.
Oh yeah, she's always been a good person. She's a catch. And then I ended up doing just whatever jobs. Oh, so long story short, the Seedability company, I ended up selling my ownership to my partners before we got married. And that gave me the funds. I actually got money out of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. But they did have to pay me half of it in furniture, in chairs, because they couldn't pay the other half. And as a college student, so here's what's cool. If I'm remembering the numbers right, don't hold me to this, but I believe the total value was about 50 grand. So I invested $5 grand and plus 2 years of blood, sweat, and tears. I got a 10x return on my investment. Fantastic. Can you believe that? Half of it was paid in chairs, but
in college.
In
really?
college.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So I ended up exiting and just getting other jobs. I needed more experience. And then I got, I heard about this entrepreneurial program called Junto Partners that Greg Warnock and Alan Hall put together.
Greg Warnock.
Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
And
was he already done with V-Spring at that point?
He was done with V-Spring. He had started Mercado.
Yeah.
And then Alan Hall had sold MarketStar, and they were doing this like give back. Yeah. And yeah, I think 200 people applied. 20 people were selected to go through this 8-week course program.
Okay. So, all right. The idea for this 8-week course, like what were you submitting?
I essentially had to like apply and say, this is why I should be selected to be somebody you want to mentor.
But did you have an idea
Nothing.
for which you really?
None. No idea.
They were accepted.
Yeah. So it wasn't a pitch me your idea. It was, we want to just bring in individuals who want to become an entrepreneur, and we want to train them on how to be an entrepreneur.
Really cool.
Honestly, it was magical.
I wish Greg would do that still.
They did do it for a few years, but it got complicated and people got busy. And in the beginning, they were like investing real dollars into, because collectively they take the 20 and then they'd select 5, and each of the 5 would need to like start a company, and then they would invest in those companies, and the 5 would invest in each other's companies for a collective group to help each other. It got complicated. Yeah. And drama and things with equity and things like that. Yeah. So by the time that I got there, they said, no investments, we'll just mentor and advise.
That's cool.
And I was happy with that, because I ended up coming out of that program, and I give them credit for that. I started Launch Leads out of that program because I didn't know what to start, but I had some sales skills. I had a know-how of how to build an inside sales team because of my previous experiences.
How'd you get the idea for Launch Leads?
MarketStar. So I'm hearing Alan Hall talk about his experience, and it was essentially an outsourced sales company. Yep. He sold it for $250 million.
Was it MarketStar like a BPO, like a call center type deal?
Yes, it was call center related.
Yeah. Outsourced sales.
Outsourced sales.
Exactly.
And I was like, look, I don't have any other experience. But
that was big in Utah in the early 2000s.
So guess what? 2009, I started an outsourced sales company.
There you go.
I went to Alan. I'm like, Alan, can I just copy what you did? And he's like, of course. He didn't care.
No,
he knew I wasn't going to compete.
He made his money.
He already made his money. And like, look, he was a $250 million company. Like this little upstart, nothing's going to. So I literally get his mentorship and advisement to like start Launch. But I'm on my own. Like no investment, no partners, no nothing. I hire my neighbor, who ends up being a phenomenal operator, who has now become his own entrepreneur, later down the road. I hire him as my first guy, my college roommate as the second guy. We're working out of my townhomes. I was able to take my money that I got out of my sale of that little business, pay off my parents with interest.
Really?
Paid for my wife's wedding ring, bought a townhome. Yeah. Put money down on a townhome. Because if I didn't do these things, I'd spend it on stupid crap like a motorcycle or big screen TV. And so I tried to be responsible, and it paid off. Started this company.
So as you're starting this company though, you're kind of a newlywed-ish, right?
Yeah, we got married in 07.
Okay.
So we had been married almost 2 years. In 09, January basically is when I started this.
Yeah.
One of the other Junto guys built my first website for free as a college project.
That's awesome.
Hilarious. And then I bootstrapped.
So okay, well then what did she think about that though? Like the risk of it? Shouldn't you have just gotten a job?
Yeah, I should have.
The short answer is yes.
And here's the thing, we were newlywed, no idea what's going on, in the world. And I just was like, I feel like I need to do this. Like I'm really excited about this. I just went through this course. I've got these mentors. I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Being
an entrepreneur, I did it in college. I loved it. I want to do this. And she was absolutely over the top supportive. And basically She said, look, I'm working full time, so we can live off of my salary is what she said. But she did request that by the time we have our first kid, she could come home. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Totally. And I was fully supportive of that idea. And so it lit the fire under my butt to say, look, if I cannot support our family by the time our first kid comes, I'll quit.
What was that?
I'll go get a job.
What was that time?
I had 1 year. She got pregnant 3 months later.
No.
Literally got pregnant 3 months later.
Oh, no.
So she gets pregnant and I'm like, oh crap. Because I didn't take a single paycheck the first year. Yeah. And then the second and third year, it was sporadic, but enough to survive off of barely.
So in this outsourced sales company, I mean, how many employees did you have
at the peak.
Yeah.
Geez, I think we grew to like 35 at the peak, maybe 40 at the peak.
That's great.
But it was like, dude, we changed our model like 3 times. Yep. We got screwed by different clients who stole our employees.
Plus commission.
Yeah, it would be like straight commission. And there was like, oh crap, no, we need like hourly. And then it was, no, let's do a retainer. Yeah. And we ended up locking in on retainer. Yeah. And so, but it was just a cash flow business. Like I could do it profitably from day one, essentially made a profit. Yep. Didn't need outside investments. I think I took like a little loan of 25 grand and paid that back in full. Ended up giving equity to 2 key people. Yeah. I should have given them more equity. Now that I think about it, I should have. Yeah. I should have made them bigger partners. I was stingy and I shouldn't have been. And then 5 years into it, I ended up hiring a CEO and giving him 12% equity in the business. But by that time, I could pay pretty fat salaries. Yeah. I was paying myself a pretty big salary. I was paying my key managers pretty good salaries. And then I paid the CEO a fat salary, right?
What year would this have been roughly?
I hired the CEO was hired in 2014 because I left to start my venture-backed software company called Quota Deck that ended up becoming Outro.com. Okay. And I got accepted into Techstars in Boulder and went through that program. And I essentially the long story short was Google Startup Weekend, I went to mentor. Yep. But they said anybody could pitch the idea. And I was like, well, I got an idea. So I ended up pitching the idea and won the whole weekend thing. Wow. And so I spent the weekend building out what I thought would be, a crazy idea.
Okay. What was Outro?
Well, it started as Quota Deck. Quota Deck, and honestly, anyway, QuotaDeck.com started as an outsourced freelancer sales company. Basically, you'd have these career salespeople who could pick up maybe 2 or 3 different companies, because if they're selling to a VP of marketing one product, why couldn't they sell 2 or 3 other products to the same target market? They have the relationship, they built. That's what it started as. Yeah. We probably should have kept it as that, because we ended up going to Techstars, getting accepted. We were one of Utah's first Techstars companies. Outlet was like another one.
And how much money did they put in?
They only put in like 100 grand, but I ended up raising before I went and raised a total of 1.25 from Peterson Ventures, Kickstart Seed Fund, and a handful of angels like Brent Thompson of Jive, Joe Atkin, who took Goal Zero.
I know Brent put it.
Yeah. These were my very first angel investors. Yeah. And they were already friends. But here's the sad part. We go to Techstars and Techstars like infuses you with all this information, but they also encourage, is what you brought to the table what it should be. Yeah. We ended up pivoting. And we pivoted to Outro.com after Techstars, but it became a referral automation platform to kill the cold calling industry. Because we were, cold calling, appointment setting was what launch was.
Probably you just built that too early.
Yeah.
Because even today, right? Like I think traditional salespeople selling any SaaS or tech product, like they just have a hard time getting a hold of people, right? So it's all moved to messaging.
Yeah. So, I ended up after Techstars, we built this automation platform that would, I still love the idea. Somebody still hasn't done it fully. But essentially, you and I would upload our LinkedIn contacts to this platform. And then you would tell me like, hey, I'm looking for HR people on hiring, because that's who I want for distro, or CEOs that would want to work. And then it would automatically search my network and say, well, Bubba, you could introduce like 10 people to Chad. Yeah. It would message me and say, hey, Chad would love intros to these 10 people. And I would just check yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Sorry, I need to breathe.
Drink if you need to.
And then it would if I said yes to certain people, it would send an automated message to that person, say, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Chad, but I want to make sure you're okay with that first, called a double opt-in intro. Yep. So I opted into sharing that. My connection said sure. And then it would auto connect you guys. I wouldn't have to do anything other than saying, sure, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. It would automatically connect you guys to the people who wanted. It was awesome. LinkedIn did not love us with our data. We were basically pulling everybody's data. Yeah. And that was the era where they basically started locking down their data. Yep. Making it way harder for companies like me to do that. That was one of the elements. Anyway, somebody's going to do it someday. We ended up having to shut it down 2 years later, almost 3 years, blood, sweat, and tears. That's absolutely part of my story because it was devastating for me as an entrepreneur, for me as an individual. I took it personally, thinking I was a failure. I've talked about it on another podcast, but like the story of Techstars was incredible. I ended up bringing on Dave Oldham as I brought him in as a co-founder a year after I had started.
So I didn't know that. And Dave came on the podcast.
No way.
I've known Dave really closely.
Oh my gosh, I love Dave.
A while because, you know, our two companies were purchased by the same company. And so,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we've like been in touch accidentally and on purpose over the last like 5-6 years.
I love Dave.
And he's a really good dude. And so anyway, I had him on the podcast and he started talking about this and I was like, wait, you were partners with Bubba? And he's like, yes. And I was like, I had no idea.
Yeah. So he joined in 2015.
Yeah.
And I loved working with Dave. Yeah. Like, dude, what a quality guy.
Yep.
And we just like our experiences and backgrounds like meshed really well. Okay. We had a blast. It didn't work. And it devastated both of us because we had these false positives. So any entrepreneurs out there, it was really hard because we were getting these companies that would pay us pretty big dollars like Domo and Pluralsight. And I think we had about $250K in revenue.
Really?
With this startup. So we're like, let's go. Come on, you know? And building a marketplace is really tough. We ended up having all this cash coming in for the demand side, and the supply side, people were less willing to make as many introductions as we had thought.
Yeah.
It also, I think, user experience wise, we hadn't perfected that. I think, obviously, LinkedIn.
I mean, you were young. The company was super young, right?
Super young.
You know, there's only so much data you can get in a short amount of time, but that's the hard part about validating product ideas and these, you know, MVPs.
We had almost 3 million contacts uploaded to the system.
Whoa, that's a lot.
So we had quite a few users. Network. Yeah, I don't know if it was 20-something thousand people that had joined, uploaded their LinkedIn network. I mean, we thought we were off to the races, man. And then the revenue, but the supply side could not fulfill the demand side.
So was it that it was not going to work today, or was it that we don't have the runway? Or both?
We went back to the investors, didn't have the runway. We went back to the investors, said, look, guys, the metrics are not working like we thought they would.
Sure.
We have 6 months left of runway. We have these 5 things we can try.
Yeah.
But we were honest with our investors, like from day one, like, look, these 5 things we can try. We don't know if it'll do it, but we have these 5 things we want to try.
Right.
But if we try all 5 things, we probably need additional funding. Right. And I don't know if it was based on the timing of their fund cycle.
Sure.
Or what was going on in the world. This was 2016 now. And they're like, look, we can't put any more money in. And we're like, shoot. You know?
You thought a different word.
Yeah.
But you said that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Dave and I are like, okay, well, let's try 2. We have enough time to try 2 of these things of the 5. Let's go all out and let's just go.
Yeah.
So we try these 2 things. We try to make, you know, user modifications and UI, UX stuff and to increase the supply versus the demand side. And it's still not working like we had hoped.
Dang it.
And so we come back and they're like, look, guys, we're in a position where we think you should try to sell what you've got. And so I spent the next like almost year going out, knocking every door I could possibly imagine. I came to find out that most businesses are not sold.
Yeah.
They are bought.
Yeah.
And me hustling to go sell a business that was not succeeding was almost impossible.
Yeah.
And until, you know, I had quite a few leads, you know, probably reached out to 200 plus people, 20 people that were interested, got down to like 5 who were serious.
Yeah.
Even just the database alone, like 3 million people in a database should be valuable. Couldn't pull it off.
Wow.
Nothing came to fruition. Oh, I was just so devastated. For every 6 months after that, Dave and I would meet. Dude, should we do it again? Should we try to get out there? Should we rebuild it? Should we really?
Yeah. It's hard.
And you know, obviously that's almost, it's 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago. Can you imagine? I went to Techstars 10 years ago.
Wow.
I was 30 years old.
Dude, I sold my last startup over 4 years ago now.
Oh my gosh.
Some days I wake up and it feels like yesterday. And
That's
like
crazy.
when I think about like I've been out now longer than I was in. That's crazy. God. That's crazy, right? Like
time is flying.
It's going so fast. And when we're, you know, like we do, and we're so busy, man, it's so easy. I stress about it a lot, actually, about my kids. I stress about like the little bit of time I actually get.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, how old's your oldest now?
He's turning 14 this month.
That's scary. You're not old, you know, but your kid's old.
Yeah.
You know, like
I only have so many years left.
I know, it's stressful. Like anyway, that's a tangent, but
anyway, that gives you kind of the story of Outro. And so all along, Launch Leads is continuing to grow. It's hitting Inc. 5000 awards. I hadn't sold it.
Really?
I sold it in 2020.
Wow. And did investors give you crap about that? Like, hey, you still have this other thing over here.
No, they didn't ever give me crap.
They never, yeah, okay. That's interesting.
Because I made it very clear, like, I'm building the product that should kill my old, it was the Innovator's Dilemma.
Yeah, yeah.
Clayton Christensen's book, if anybody's heard that, Innovator's Dilemma, I literally was like, okay, this is it. I'm doing exactly what Clayton Christensen said and taught. I am building the innovation to my previous company, and it will, over time, it should kill it.
Yeah.
If we do it right.
Yeah.
Come to find out, my company that I ended up selling in 2020 is still cranking, still going, and mine didn't. And, but you know what? It introduced so long story short, the learning from the failure of a business, and my wife hates it when I say failure. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
The term failure is probably harsh, you know, but it did. It didn't pan out.
Where was, well, before we go to, I want to ask you about like that experience with your spouse in doing that. But like, before we go into that, like really, how did you feel when you could see it coming down? Like,
oh my gosh. I had never been in a state of depression or anxiety ever in my life before. Yeah. I mean, I had been worried and stressed because I couldn't make payroll. I never missed payroll, by the way.
Yeah.
Miracle. Thank you to paying tithing. I'm not even kidding. I don't care what you believe. Donation, give back to people. I paid my tithing. I was always able to make payroll. I don't know. Crazy. With Launch Leads specifically. But like, so I had been in the fetal position in other ways with my other startup stuff, but I had never been in this like dark place of me thinking personally, I am a failure as a human. And anyone who's been out there, if you're in the entrepreneurial world, you've probably had a failure before.
Yeah.
Most likely, if you've been doing it long enough. I didn't know because I had not had a failure yet. Yeah. And, you know, this is through therapy and marriage therapy, personal therapy, all this stuff. Come to find out, my life had been fairly blessed in a sense that I really hadn't had failures. As a freshman, I tried out for the basketball team and I didn't make it. And I was devastated. I like to play it. Volleyball ended up becoming my sport, but let's just say I was devastated then. But like really my life, I think as a youngest child, my parents were incredible, had an amazing upbringing, but they were able to build my confidence up in a way that I just always was confident.
Yeah.
And didn't even know that what was it like to not have confidence in myself. And this was the first time where really as an adult, I felt like, oh my gosh, I can't make everything right. And I lost my investors' money.
Yeah.
And my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I felt like, how could I look them in the eye? Mm-hmm. Now, when I went back to, you know, I had shared obviously throughout the way, I'm a big believer. If you raise money from investors, you have to be honest and transparent all along the way. Yeah. So like they knew what was going on and they knew that things weren't going as we had hoped. So it wasn't a surprise when we had to shut down, but I still like,
it doesn't take away the feeling.
Oh my gosh.
The responsibility.
So luckily groups like Peterson Ventures, Kickstart, they came to me and were like, look, we know it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And we made a bet. And it didn't pan out. This happens all the time. We'll fund your next thing. Like we believe in you as a family. Like that was incredible. So I had that silver lining of like, we believe in you still as a founder. We believe in you as an entrepreneur. It didn't work out. It's okay. Yeah. But like, I still like with my friends who became angels, you know, Brent and Joe, I was embarrassed to see them.
Yeah.
Think about how I lost their personal money. Yep. Now as an angel myself, and I've since invested in Brent's company as an angel.
Yeah.
And because I was like, of course I'm going to back you. You backed me. And I do love his idea, Blip, billboards. I love it. So I'm stoked to be a part of it. But, and when Joe does his next thing, I'd love to invest in his. But long story short, I had to figure out what it was like to face those fears. And this is the sad truth, you guys. 6 months of true darkness, and I lost a part of who I was.
Yeah.
Confidence-wise, who am I? Literally, I went through this spiritual awakening. Yeah. Who am I as a person? Why am I here on this earth? I felt inspired to start that company. I felt God was telling me to start that company, and yet it failed.
Yeah.
So what the heck is that? And I had to come to realize, you know what? Sometimes God puts us down a path to learn.
Yeah.
You may or may not get what you want, but God knows what's best. And now I can look back and say, I needed to go through that as a human, not to win at entrepreneurship, but as a human man to experience failure was necessary for me becoming who I needed to become.
Yeah.
And for me to gain humility, which I'm still working on. But I feel like that's a never ending pursuit, I think. But God was in it. He was in the details. And I can now look back and say I'm grateful for it. And obviously I learned way more from that than even the success. But from a marriage standpoint, I'm still working on the part of me that failed, that I lost 10 years ago, not 10 years ago, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of it is confidence.
Yeah.
And I know online, maybe it looks different, but online's a highlight reel. Yeah. Guys, totally. Obviously you put yourself out online and you want to be upbeat and positive and excited. You're typically not showing the sides where sorry, that's my watch. Oh, you're typically not showing the sides where you're in the fetal position or you're bawling your eyes out or you're screaming into a pillow because you're dealing with issues in your life. That's typically not showed online.
Right.
But everyone has it. Everyone is going through crap. I don't care who you are. Tony Robbins, it doesn't matter. Every human is going through some level of crap. Sure. And you have to recognize that is supposed to happen in some way, shape, or form. And I'm looking in the camera because I want everyone to hear this. You have trials and challenges in your life that you have to go through to become who you are meant to become. Now, some of those trials and challenges come because of the decisions that you and I make. Some of them happen because we just have to learn. And some of them happen because of the impact of others, and that sucks. And I'm really sorry that the impact of others happened to you, because that just happened too. But I know, and I can say this without just so much certainty, that God has got your back. And he's putting you through these trials for you to become the best version of who you need to become. And it may take therapy. It may take a lot of books and self-improvement. It may take a lot of journaling and meditation to be able to find who that person is and to get to the point where you can have healing from the wounds of even your childhood that you may not even remember yet.
Right.
And this is all this process that I've been going through. And I can tell you that without diving deep into my soul, I would still, and I still am a wounded individual.
Yeah.
But I've been finding out that these wounds, whether it's childhood or adulthood, through friends or family or marriage or
startups,
these wounds and this healing process is what is miraculous to me right now. So this is where I am now.
How long did that take you?
I'm still doing it. There is no end, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't until less than a year ago that I started to recognize that I am a wounded soul.
Yeah.
And, learning about my attachment personality.
Right.
There's a book called Attached.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend it to anyone that's married or not married. This is really, really key to understand who you are. a book called How to Do the Work. And this is talking about like doing the internal work of healing so that you can be the best version of yourself for those around you.
Yeah, I think it's important that you bring that up, because sometimes, like, I've interviewed a bunch of entrepreneurs, and, even before this show, like with my friends, we all kind of comb over like the challenges of being an entrepreneur, or just a person, because I think in general it's also hard. But we kind of come over them and just say, that's really hard, but like when you talk about like the fetal position and the crying, and dude, I remember one time, like I woke up in the morning, took a shower, and I couldn't stop crying, and my wife was in bed, and I just went over and sat next to her, and she woke up to me like crying, and she's asking why. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just, these things that like, it's very deep and very painful, and in many cases is related to different trauma, or shaped by trauma that we have and things that we've gone through, and oftentimes as young children, and so I think it's important for everybody, like wherever they are, to go figure that out.
If I could talk to my 20-year-old self, I would say, yes, pursue the startup, go for it, do it like you did it.
Yeah.
Bootstrap it, be scrappy, just like, don't go raise capital, just go do it. Even if it's a services-based company, learn entrepreneurship through that. In fact, make money.
Start with a service company.
Yeah, I love that.
You'll make money.
You actually can make money, higher success rate. But then while you're doing that, if you can, try to afford, whether it's a coach or a therapist that understands childhood trauma or wounds that need to be healed. Not just any therapist, somebody who can promote
therapist.
How to Do the Work book.
Yep.
Somebody who understands diving into your soul, finding, even if you can't find it yourself, but they can help you find it through breath work, maybe deep breathing, meditation. These are things I've never done.
Yeah.
I literally haven't done it. I'm 40 and I'm doing them now. Like, what the heck? Why didn't somebody, and if somebody did tell me, I wasn't smart enough to listen. Yeah. So if you're listening, listen, figure this stuff out now. Like, why do you act the way you do? Why do you get hurt? Why are you triggered when you get triggered, whether it's by a spouse or a business partner, or like, why? What are those truly deep, not the first layer of, well, I'm just mad because of this thing. No, what happened in your childhood that made you feel, I'm the youngest child. I felt like I had to prove myself all the time. I was always the baby.
Yeah.
And then when I started to be an entrepreneur, I was like, well, I'm the black sheep. I got to go prove the heck out of this to my family. This is all subconscious. I never wrote that down.
Right.
I never consciously said, I'm going to go stick it to the man. No.
Yeah.
But I had this chip on my shoulder that I didn't even know that drove me to succeed in the business field. Yeah. That was a positive outcome, but that hurt me when it became, to become vulnerable.
Yeah.
With my wife.
Yep. Because
all of the crazy crap that happened in the first business that I had to go through, was I sharing those things with my wife? Very little. Very little, because I'm like, well, geez, I've got to compartmentalize, right? All the crap happening over here. I don't want to stress her out.
Bring her home, yeah. Or bring that home to her.
And there's an element of like, yeah, you don't need to, not every detail, but like, I needed to be more vulnerable. Mm-hmm. I needed to share my feelings more. I needed to not hide behind this facade. And I've dealt with this. I'm still dealing with this.
Yeah.
Now, again, am I going to share online that I'm hosting my first Influence Ventures, deal in a couple of weeks? Heck yeah. And I'm stoked about it. And I'm investing in companies like Fi, and yes, I'm going to share that fun stuff. But I hope as I continue to get older and mature emotionally and learn on the emotional side of things, that I can also share that life sucks sometimes and it's okay. And if I can learn to be less reactive and more emotionally responsible, it will help all of my relationships be more vulnerable, talk about the reality of life. Anyway, I just feel like it sucks and I'm just learning this stuff now.
That's an interesting perspective.
That I really wish I could have learned the emotional side of my life 20 years ago. And there is some naivete that comes with being a 20-year-old and getting married and having kids early and starting a business early. That is good. You just get out there and you do it. And you're not afraid because you don't know what could happen.
Right.
But as of right now, I'll be honest, starting Influence.vc, technically I started it last year, a full year ago.
Yeah.
I was peeing my pants, man. I was scared.
What were you scared of?
Scared of failure again. Scared of not knowing what I'm doing. Scared of the, what do they call it? Where you think you don't deserve to be there. What is that?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. That I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And think about it. Why would I ever say that I'm not worthy? Well, that comes back to like a childhood issue or an early marriage issue. Like, why would I not be worthy to do something? Of course I'm worthy, but I've had these internal feelings of like, well, freak, I'm scared. And, you know, obviously people on the outside, you might be following on LinkedIn and be like, that guy's the most confident guy out there.
Yeah.
I'm scared crapless, you know, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And so I do my first deal in March as a syndicate, which they finally just announced. Crew, thank you for finally announcing so I could talk about it. I co-invested with Pelion, Kickstart, Convoy. I co-invested with Space Station.
Yeah, cool.
Stoked about the company. I think it's great. But did my first deal. Didn't know how. I've done angel investing and I feel comfortable there.
First deal?
Crew was the very first deal.
That was a while ago then.
Yeah, it was in March.
I mean, they were roll raising, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
But yeah, that was March of 2023.
Wow.
Did my first deal there. It was invited in by the VCs. Loved it. Did my second deal in July. So it took a long time in between. Did my second deal in July called eatcounter.com. It's in the macro counting space. They're crushing it. They just did a trial with Target. Cool. They've got macro-friendly frozen foods. So meaning it's like high in protein. You can, anyway, count if you're ever counting your macros kind of person. Crushed their trial in Target.
Awesome.
They've been in Walmart, Sam's Club. Stoked about where they're headed.
That's awesome.
And then didn't do my next deals until October, November. Phi and Seer, so Phi.health and Seer.ai. But I did these two as an angel, as just an entry point.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was a little early to bring in the syndicate with the purpose of getting my foothold in there so that I can bring the syndicate in on their next round.
Right.
I love the founders. I've wanted to back the founders for a long time. But like, I'm now just feeling like, okay, I think, you know, I now understand the process, the legal side of it, the whatever. You created the very first event, 2024 goal. I'm putting this out there. It's scary to put out goals. I'd like to do 10 deals in 2024.
Fantastic.
As a syndicate. And I want to host, you know, an event a quarter that allows for entrepreneurs, investors, and influencers to come together in one area, one event, to hear presentations, investment opportunities. I want to help educate these influencers who typically don't make as many investment opportunities like this.
So your syndicate is you know, primarily influencers, correct?
No, actually.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, influencers are not used to making investments.
Yeah.
They don't do angel investments or venture capital investments. That's not their cup of tea. Part of my goal is to educate them on why they should to diversify their portfolio. And some of them can do it in exchange for promotion. They can earn equity in businesses. Sure. Most of these influencers aren't doing it. If you want to learn how, follow me. Let's talk about it.
Stance to that. Huge.
Huge.
A huge amount. Like,
I did it with Gab.
Yeah.
Gab Wireless was one of my best angel investments. Yeah. And I wrote a $25K check. I earned $50K from our influence that we ended up selling almost $500,000 worth of a product.
So awesome.
Which added $5 million to their valuation.
So awesome.
And obviously my wife did most of that, but like,
thanks, Jordan.
Thank you. But it's like as a combined effort. Anyway, I want to educate influencers on the investing side. I want to educate VCs, investors, and entrepreneurs on how valuable influencers are. Right. And then I want them to get to know each other. So most of the time you have these events where entrepreneurs hang out or investors hang out or influencers hang out. I want them to come together. Yeah. And I want people to start to know each other and see the value of each other in a community. That's part of the community I want to build with Influence.
Awesome.
And I want these people to come together. So I don't know if this will go out in time.
Yeah.
January 16th, 3 to 5 at Kiln, virtual or in person.
It will be close, but we can still post about it.
Let's post about it. It'll be there. So if you're following me anywhere on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, X, you'll find the invite. You can come. You do have to be an accredited investor to actually invest in these opportunities.
Yeah.
Phi will be presenting as one of them. Kiln will be presenting on an opportunity there. Anyway. My mission, like true mission of who I am as a person, this is going to sound really random, but like self-reliance is not a very popular word in at least the VC world or entrepreneur world.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I feel compelled to help provide self-reliance to more humans on this planet. And it may seem roundabout of why Influence is doing this, but Influence.vc is obviously working with influencers to help promote the portfolio companies, part of the goal, but also the word influence is to influence for good. I'm in the process of creating educational content for underserved families, primarily women, on entrepreneurship and investing. I feel like it's not just in the US, but all across the globe, entrepreneurship can provide more jobs for people because they're hiring people to help them.
Right.
And whether they're providing more jobs or doing their own business as an entrepreneur, that helps people with more financial success or financial freedom. And when you have self-reliance, you can help other people. Meaning if you can take care of you and your own needs, if you're in Africa and you have your own needs taken care of, then you can start helping other people. I feel like your primary, you need to take care of yourself and your family. That sounds selfish. So you
can help other people though.
But you do that so that the abundance that you create, you can help others to do the same. Mm-hmm. So like influence, yes, we want to make our investors returns on their capital.
Right.
That is absolutely a priority. I love helping entrepreneurs with advisement, mentorship, and bringing influencers to the table to help promote and grow their business. But at the foundational level of influencing for good, I want to help people all across the globe know what entrepreneurship is, know that they can do it even if you're in Africa or in India or in wherever. We're going to be producing, some educational content for them to get it for free. The hope is that like when somebody who has the means can buy a program, we'll gift a program. Remember the old Tom Shoes model?
Yeah.
Buy one, give one.
I do.
I want to do the same. That's a big part of who I am. I want to be able to give back. And even if that give one is to a single mom here in the US that wants to start her side business to help support her family and become more self-reliant, I'm giving that program for free to that woman, right? Like awesome. So the buy one, give one program hopefully will help thousands upon thousands of people across the country. And as they become more financially aware and educated, whether that's with entrepreneurship or investing, then they can start helping others in the same way. Anyway, that gives you a little bit more of the vision
of where you're going next.
Of why. This is the why. Why I'm doing this. That is more of the why. Who will I become in the future? I've been inspired by two people. I've been inspired by a lot of people, but I've been inspired by two people independently, from an angel investing, super angel, Jason Calacanis type person. Yeah. Personality-wise, don't know him well. Personality-wise, I'd say maybe not my favorite as an example of who I want to become. Yeah. But what he has done as a super angel and building a community around investing and entrepreneurship, I love it.
Yeah.
So I love that element. Jesse Itzler.
He's awesome.
Married Sarah Blakely of Spanx.
Yep.
His personality, his drive to help people become better humans. I look at if I combine those two people, that's my North Star.
Jesse is awesome.
Of maybe what I would love to do and help.
He spoke at the summit too, which was amazing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Summit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Sorry,
that was a lot of talking.
No. Don't say sorry. This show is about you as the guest. And I think it paints a picture on what you're doing and why and where you're going. And I'm grateful you were willing to share your story. Where can people get in touch with you if they have questions for you?
LinkedIn's fantastic. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Instagram is a fun place if you want to see more, if that's your jam.
Yeah.
Across any social platform, just Bubba Page. Yep. Search Bubba Page. You'll find me on any social platform. And if you want to be involved anymore in like these events, whether it's as somebody who's pitching or a sponsorship or something, email me.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there, Bubba@Influence.vc.
Awesome.
That's scary to put your email out there, but you can do it. Just reach out.
Well, we're thankful you took the time. Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of No Instructions. Feel free to leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe so we can continue producing these podcasts. Today's episode was brought to you by Distro. Distro is a platform to help startups find, hire, and pay employees in over 200 countries. It's free to use. Go to distro.io to set up your free account today.